From the station working for you, this is Good Morning Indiana, streaming now.
It's Friday, January 29th, and right now on Good Morning Indiana.
We saw an enormous amount of people experiencing homelessness, sleeping outside, and felt a need to respond to that.
Lending a hand to the homeless in Monroe County, the steps neighbors are taking to put a roof over the head of those who need it the most.
Once you know what you're doing, it's not tough. It just pretty much like any job becomes a routine.
The pandemic has put a strain on a lot of companies. This morning, we introduce you to a company thriving and hiring Hoosiers.
This opportunity to teach them those mechanical skills that can create pathways for future employability.
Plus, how one organization is using bicycles to teach valuable life lessons.
Always a good time to ride a bike in central Indiana, even on a day like today. Welcome to Good Morning Indiana on this last Friday in January. Todd Clausen, what's going on today?
You know, today it's pretty quiet. It's a good day to get out there, walk, ride your bike. I still do it in the middle of winter. Obviously, you have to bundle up a little bit, but still always a good way to get around. And tomorrow is when it gets real interesting. And we'll dive into that forecast because I know that's what's making the headlines coming up in just a few minutes. But let's talk about your Friday first. Not skipping a day here. Look at the temperatures down to the south. Bloomington, you're down to 10 degrees this morning. It's 21 in Peru, 20 in Indianapolis. Why the 10 to 12 degree temperature spread? Well, you had 2-3 inches of snow here in southern locations, so there's still snowpack. We have clearer skies to the south, and that's resulting in the difference in the temperatures this morning. Thankfully, no wind out there on this Friday, so you're not factoring in a wind chill. Skies are mainly clear, minus a few high thin clouds. Any high thin cloud cover will burn off pretty quickly here this morning once the sun comes up, and completely sunny skies this afternoon. 28 degrees by the noon hour, 33 degrees by 4 p.m. Tomorrow by this time, we'll likely have winter storm warnings and advisories across the area as the storm system heads our way. More on that, Lauren, coming up again in just a couple minutes.
All right, Todd, thanks. Let's take a look at traffic this morning as you're heading out the door, kicking off your Friday. Good morning to you in Carmel. This is a look in your community, US 31 near Rangeline Road, where traffic is moving along up to speed, both northbound and southbound there on the highway. We'll keep you updated if there are any trouble spots you should avoid, but it's pretty quiet so far this morning, Megan.
Lauren, thank you. New overnight, police are investigating a deadly shooting on the northeast side of Indianapolis. It happened around 3:30 this morning near 42nd Street and Brentwood Drive. That's just east of Post Road. According to IMPD, one person was shot and died at the scene. Officers have not released additional details at this time, Raphael.
Yeah, we're following another developing story. Megan, Metro Police detectives are hoping to get their hands on some surveillance video to help with a shooting investigation involving 2 men and a police officer. Here are the details on this Friday morning. Investigators say Metro Police officer was stopped at 30th and Shadeland on the northeast side of Indianapolis. This around 1 o'clock Thursday afternoon. That's when 2 men got out of their vehicles and began shooting at each other. The officer, who was not in uniform or in a marked IMPD cruiser, he returned fire. Police say it's unclear if he shot either of the men.
I will tell you that the officer was in plain clothes in an unmarked police car, in an undercover police car. There is no dash cam video. There is no body cam video. The officer was working in plain clothes, and our plainclothes officers do not utilize body cams.
Police say a short time after that shooting, a gunshot victim was found on 34th Street. Another showed up at the hospital. Detectives do believe their injuries were connected to the shooting, but are working to confirm those details.
Now to the latest on the coronavirus pandemic and its continued impact on our state. The State Health Department reports nearly 2,900 new cases of the virus. Thursday's report marked the 14th day in a row where the number of new cases remained below 4,000. The state also reported 34 additional Hoosiers have died with COVID-19. Since the pandemic began, more than 9,500 Hoosiers have died with the coronavirus, Lauren.
And this morning, the Bloomington community is stepping up to help people who have no place to live. Beacon Inc. helps people experiencing homelessness with resources and housing. That organization has secured an old CrossFit gym to use as a makeshift temporary winter shelter. This comes a couple weeks after dozens of people living in tents were forced out of Seminary Park. Josh Riddle and his wife are staying at the shelter, and he told us that it opened up after they battled COVID-19.
It was awesome. Like, as soon as they tore down the park downtown, you know, all the tents and everything, we didn't know what we were going to do. And then we found out about the new shelter, and it happened right when we were getting out of isolation.
Well, the temporary space can house up to 50 people. Organizers say if more people show up on a given night, they will not be turned away. Raphael.
The Rebound Indiana is our commitment here at WRTV, guiding you to the resources to get you beyond this pandemic. WRTV's Kelsey Anderson is talking with the experts to help you out of a financial rut. Kelsey?
Well, financial freedom is possible even in these trying times. So if you have a pile of credit card debt, we have some easy tips for you that you can take right now to cut that down and get back on track. Financial professional Logan Benham of Benham Advisory Group says the best way to get out of debt is to write out your expenses and see where you can cut back in your day-to-day life to put more money towards paying off your credit cards. If you have multiple cards, he suggests paying off your smallest credit card balance first to start yourself off on the right foot.
Start by paying off the smallest one first. That way you might be able to eliminate carrying a balance over from month to month, and that might motivate you to tackle some of those larger debts.
He believes once you've completed paying off one credit card, you'll be motivated to put more towards your balance and be debt-free a lot sooner. But remember, saving and getting out of debt is a marathon and not a sprint, and it is not going to happen overnight. For more financial advice from Logan Benham, head over to this story on the WRTV News app. Working for you, Kelsey Anderson, WRTV.
Kelsey, thank you for that. It is 6:07 on your Friday, and a local education nonprofit is using bicycles to keep youth dreaming. Our own Troy Washington is joining us live to explain this morning how 913 Sports is opening minds through this hands-on experience. Troy, good morning.
Good morning. Guys, I haven't had a bike in a really long time, but 913 Sports, they're using bikes just like this one to open doors for young people.
So 913 Sports really believes that the bicycle is the ultimate equalizer.
That's why they're using it to help young people explore the city, ride bikes, and build them too.
When I launched 913 Sports in 2012, I took for granted the fact that I grew up with a bicycle, and I assumed that everybody else had that same access and opportunity that I did. And very early on, as we started to work in the schools, I realized that a lot of kids not only didn't have access to a bicycle, it was that they didn't care about it. It wasn't even on their radar.
So just ahead, we'll tell you how they're using this bike as a tool to help children develop some career goals. Reporting live downtown, I'm Troy Washington, WRTV.
Well, 913 Sports says before the pandemic in 2019, they alone served more than 57,000 youth in our state. And though they've had to make some changes to adapt in this pandemic, they're still on track to keep helping. Raphael.
Lauren, let's start Good News Friday a little earlier than usual because it did not take very long for someone in our community to answer the call for help after seeing a local organization story right here on WRTV. We first told you about the non-for-profit group Kids in Crisis Intervention. We call them Kick It here in Johnson County. The group was looking for someone to help a young mother of 6 who needed transportation to her new job. By Wednesday, someone donated a car. Thank you so much. Kids in Crisis tells us other people have also reached out, offering their time and services to assist the organization.
Coming up, Hiring Hoosiers helps connect you to jobs and resources here in central Indiana. The local company keeping very busy during the pandemic and looking for workers right now. Todd.
All is quiet in our forecast here on this Friday as we'll have plenty of sunshine and seasonable temperatures, but things get very interesting starting tomorrow afternoon. Winter storm watches are posted across parts of the area, and a good chunk of central Indiana will get into some accumulating snow tomorrow afternoon and evening, and then it lasts all the way into Sunday. We'll break it all down for you coming up when Good Morning Indiana continues right here on WRTV.
Welcome back. WRTV's Hiring Hoosiers project serves as a link between you and employers.
And this morning we found a company not only surviving the hardships of this pandemic, but it's thriving. And Raphael, it's looking to expand.
As WRTV's Mark Mullins shows you, the company helps make a house a home.
This new construction house in this growing neighborhood in Greenfield is coming along quickly. Josh Underwood and William Kidd with Overhead Doors are moving fast, installing insulation, helping build the place from the inside out. Josh has been with the company for a little more than 2 years. In fact, this was a successful career change for him when he took a leap of faith to try something new.
Well, I actually came from a hospitality, a food and beverage background for most of my life leading up to this. Coming in, I really did not understand what I was getting my feet into.
William has nearly 3 decades of this work under his belt.
Once you know what you're doing, it's not tough. It just pretty much like any job becomes a routine. I've been here for 29 years, and I've done quite well, I would say.
One with an established career with Overhead, the other setting his sights on a lucrative future here.
Oh yeah, this is definitely something you can make into a career. A lot of the guys I've worked with have been here for 20 and 30 years and preach about being able to raise their kids on this, from infants all the way up, putting them through college.
Overhead Door specializes in garage doors and insulation. With roughly 150 employees serving Indianapolis and central Indiana, the business needs to add about 25 to 30 new workers in its insulation division. No experience necessary. It provides a comprehensive training program where new hires get paid to learn a trade.
You can make very good money doing this job. If you're looking for a career, this is a great opportunity for man or woman.
For job seekers, open positions and hands-on paid training is good news in itself. But this company also prides itself on helping its workers build financial stability. Overhead Door helps families, providing an online financial planning course instructing on budgeting and saving. After completing the course, a worker who saves $1,000 will receive a $1,000 bonus from the company's CEO.
Well, I think it shows how much they actually care for their employees.
Hard work, physical labor, but perks and a comfortable living for those who commit to the task.
Give it a shot, if anything. Come in. You never know what you're going to be made of.
In Greenfield, Mark Mullins, WRTV.
Mark, thank you so much. We'll see you tonight on the news at 5. And managers with Overhead Doors say the pandemic never really slowed them down since home and office construction remained, as you know, an essential industry. And of course, home sales continued right along. In fact, there is so much work to do that some projects are on hold until more workers can be hired. If you'd like to know more about the list of jobs there and the benefits that the company is offering and apply for an open position, we provided a link to Overhead Door in this story at hiringhoosiers.com. On this Friday morning, we are checking out your forecast, and Todd Clausen, tell us what you have. I believe it's going to be a nice, beautiful day. It could be colder somewhere else, Todd. I always think of Alaska and Alaska.
Yeah.
So we're good.
It could be colder in central Indiana as well. I mean, we haven't been below 0 yet here this month, and that happens sometimes in January for multiple days. So always got to look at the bright side. We'll get into today's forecast briefly here in just a second. I'm going to start you off, though, with the weather headlines, which are really tomorrow and then throughout the day on Sunday as our winter storm heads in our direction. The heaviest snowfall by far is going to be tomorrow in northern locations. That's pretty much a guarantee. Where it gets really tricky is in the central portion of the state, as we're going to be dealing with that rain-snow line kind of toggling back and forth. And it's going to be tough to measure the snow. You'll get some snow, it'll stack up, and then we'll get into rain. It'll melt away, it'll be slushy. So it's probably not going to be as much snow on the ground as our official snowfall totals will come in. And then we're going to have to contend with some gusty winds as well, up to 30 miles per hour with this storm system heading our way. Outside right now, it's quiet. Skies are partly to mainly clear across the area. Bloomington 10 degrees, 12 in Bedford, 20 in Tipton as well as Indy. The good news is there's not much of a wind out there, so we're not factoring in any wind chill values. The skies, again, there are some high thin clouds in spots, but they'll move out pretty quickly across the area. Highs today, pretty seasonable. 34 in Logansport as well as Kokomo, 35 in Frankfort, about 35 in Indy and Shelbyville. It's 37 today in Martinsville, and then high temperatures in southern locations today. Despite being at 10 degrees right now in Bloomington, you should get back up to 37 degrees later on this afternoon. So as far as our storm goes, it starts as snow for almost everybody tomorrow evening, but it will quickly go over to rain in southern locations. And then Saturday night, late night, that's closer to midnight, and then early into Sunday morning is all rain to the south, still snow to the north, and then on Sunday it goes over to mainly rain for just about everybody. Again, I have high confidence in mainly snow here in northern locations. I have very low confidence in the forecast here through the central portion of the state along I-70, I-74 through Crawfordsville. And the reason why I have low confidence is the rain-snow line. Where does it set up? The rain's going to melt the snow away, so it's going to be tough to measure. And then after a brief burst of snow at the onset in Bloomington as well as Greensburg and Seymour, you're going to mainly go over to just plain old rain for this storm system. So as we go throughout the day today, it's pretty quiet. Here comes the snow and the rain as we go into the day on Saturday and Sunday. My pause points obviously didn't stop there, so I'll fine-tune that for you as we go into the next weather segment. But here's what I'm expecting as far as the snow potential. 3 to 6 inches in northern locations, 1 to 3 inches here through the central portion of the state, and then an inch or less. Keeping in mind, like I mentioned, you'll go over to rain very quickly in Bloomington, so that'll melt that inch of snow really quick. And even this 1 to 3 will get toned down pretty quickly once that rain starts in the central portion of the state. The heavier totals, again, pretty confident in that, going to be northern locations in that 3 to 6 inch total. I added the plus sign in there. That's for extreme northern locations. Could get a little bit more than that. Some more snow Sunday night into Monday, then quiet for Tuesday and Wednesday. But yet another storm system brings a wintry mix in this very active weather pattern, Megan, on Thursday.
Very active. Thank you, Todd. And this morning, a federal bill is back on the table to improve the safety of duck boats. 17 people, including 9 Indianapolis family members, died when a duck boat sank in Missouri Lake. The bill allows the National Transportation Safety Board to make recommendations on duck boats now. It would also require changes to canopies to allow for an easy escape for passengers. The bill was originally introduced in 2019. It cleared the Senate, but was never heard by the House. Lauren?
Well, Megan, it's almost February, but hey, let's go back and bring you a little Christmas cheer. So we've learned that the We Care Park holiday light display up in Kokomo raised a record $118,000 in its final year. After a 27-year run, the owner and operator of this attraction decided to retire after this past season. Mike Wyant says that not only did the donation set a record, it's the first time they've topped $100,000. That money goes back to local nonprofits, and that is some good news on this Friday. We'll have more good news coming up, plus trending 6 just after the break. Welcome back to Good Morning Indiana. It is 6:23. We're keeping a close eye on your commute. This is I-465 and I-70 over on the east side. You can see here traffic is picking up this morning. Traveling up to speed. I'm not monitoring any major issues to slow down your commute to work, so that is great news. Well, it is that time of the morning where we like to chat about what is trending at 6. So, Raphael, kick us off.
So listen, you're a mom and you know how to multitask, and I often follow you on Instagram, and by 2 in the afternoon, I need to take a nap when I see what you're doing all day long.
Right.
Because you do a whole lot. You do a whole lot.
Oh, thank
and it's
you.
amazing.
Kudos.
So check the story out. Kudos indeed. Parents working from home can relate to KABC morning meteorologist Leslie Lopez. While she was on there Thursday, her son, grabbed her leg, and without missing a beat, Lopez just picked him up, held him up throughout the rest of her weather report. The station says the comments rolled in from viewers thanking her for showing what it's like working from home with kids. So, Lauren, anytime Archie wants to just pop up and show up and read Good News Friday, you know, what's trending at 6?
He may pop up in Good News Friday today. We'll have to see. Yeah.
Respect for those multitasking moms.
Yeah, he's cute.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, let's turn to this. An octogenarian, and for those who don't know, that's someone who's between the age of 80 and 89, who has attended 54 Super Bowl games, isn't letting the coronavirus pandemic stop him from seeing his 55th. Don Chrisman is from Maine, and he's the founding member of Never Missed a Super Bowl Club. At first, Chrisman wasn't sure he'd get tickets for this February 7th matchup, but he says the NFL made room, and Chrisman is a Patriots fan, but he says he'll be rooting for Tom Brady and the Buccaneers this time.
Okay.
And Todd, I'm hoping to be watching it too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be watching it from my couch.
Yeah.
Right.
Or at least the first half before I have to go to with the
Before
bed.
you go to bed.
Maybe the highlights the next morning.
Yeah. You know, I don't have a vested interest in our team. Colts aren't in it. Giants aren't in it. So sleep might be more important with this
Stay
shit,
inside.
right? All right, but I will get into food, Raphael. You asked before I go to bed. I might not finish the game, but I'll definitely eat. All right, temperatures today with partly to mostly sunny skies will be topping off in the mid to upper 30s across the area. It's real chilly now, though. Temperatures are in the teens and 20s. In fact, it's below the teens in Bloomington right now with a temperature that is right at 10 degrees. Tomorrow, a winter storm watch will go into effect for northern locations. Then rain to the south. That's why you're not under the watch. This will get broken down by the National Weather Service either late tonight or tomorrow, most likely into winter storm warnings and winter weather advisories across the area. So Indianapolis not under the winter storm watch, so potentially more advisory type accumulation through the central portion of the state where we get some mixing. It's a tricky storm system, but we'll break it down for you in more detail, Lauren, coming up in just a couple minutes.
All right, Todd, thank you. So the national moratorium on evictions was recently extended to keep families suffering in the pandemic from ending up on the streets. But John Matarese warns that there's a lot of loopholes in this new law, so he'll break those down for you so you don't waste your money.
The new pandemic aid package is supposed to prohibit against evictions this new year. Then why are so many people still facing eviction despite the new law? This is what Ayanna McClure found when she pulled up to her apartment one day this past fall. Painters were taking everything out and putting in new locks.
Because this is my apartment and they changed the locks.
This healthcare aide tells me she lost a month of work over the summer and had fallen behind on her rent.
So it was no way I could come up with like $2,000 or $3,000.
Ayanna, who's now staying in a local women's shelter, says she was evicted despite the eviction moratorium.
I guess like the first day that he could file the eviction, he did it.
She's not alone. 3 days after Christmas, we found Amanda Barger and all her belongings tossed out of her rented mobile home.
I know this is a business and you gotta pay your own way, but they could have a little, kindness.
The good news for renters behind on their payments, the national moratorium on evictions has been extended into the new year. The bad news, there are still many reasons why a landlord can still legally kick you out.
Disturbing your neighbors, not maintaining, keeping the apartment clean, those sorts of lease violation or tenant violation duties.
Nick DiNardo of Legal Aid says tenants need to know the eviction moratorium is not automatic. You must submit a CDC form available at the CDC or Legal Aid websites or your local library. The moratorium only applies to financial hardship.
There are plenty of people who are being evicted right now.
Among them, these two women. In both cases, their landlords told us there were other reasons besides late rent. If you're facing eviction, contact your local legal aid office or community action agency so you don't waste your money. I'm John Matarese. Good morning, Indiana.
From the station working for you, this is Good Morning Indiana, streaming now.
Now on Good Morning Indiana, on this Friday morning, this is your news feed. Police investigating a shooting that left one person dead on the northeast side of Indianapolis. Now this happened around 3:30 this morning near 42nd Street and Brentwood Drive. That's just east of Post Road. According to IMPD, one person was shot and died at the scene. Officers have not released additional information at this time.
Metro Police are still investigating the death of a pedestrian who was hit by a car on the northwest side of Indianapolis. Officers say the woman was hit around 6:40 last night. It happened on 56th Street and Guyan Road. Investigators say a driver stayed on the scene and cooperated with the investigation. Officers say they are still looking for a witness who was driving a green Kia Soul but left the scene.
Well, the ongoing pandemic is impacting Butler University. Butler announcing it will freeze tuition for the 2021-2022 school year that starts this fall. The university says it will keep tuition and fees at the same level as the current school year. Butler's president says he hopes it will help ease the financial burden on students and parents brought on by this pandemic.
You can now vote for your favorite Pacers player to be an all-star. The team is encouraging fans to vote for Domantas Sabonis, Miles Turner, and Malcolm Brogdon. Voting goes all the way through February the 16th. Right now, it's really unclear if there will even be an NBA All-Star game this year. As you may recall, the game was originally going to be held right here in Indianapolis at Bankers Life Fieldhouse. That changed, of course, because of the pandemic. Indianapolis will now host the All-Star game in the year 2024. Go Pacers, and of course, vote for the Pacers.
And we do want to say good morning to you here on Good Morning Indiana at 6:30. Thanks for joining us. We finally made it to Friday.
Yes, we see the weekend just in sight. And Raphael, you might have a chance to use your snowblower maybe.
I am moving north for the weekend. If I don't use this thing, it's scrap metal. Clausen, so
well,
I don't know what to tell you.
You're getting closer to being able to use it. I think a couple of weeks ago you were going to have to go to Moscow, and then it was into Ireland, then it was Chicago. Now you just got to go to northern Indiana, Raphael. So you're
that's better. That's way better.
It's better, right? Yeah, and that's all on track for tomorrow into Sunday, the winter storm. As you walk out the door this morning, it's pretty quiet across the area. It's just really, really cold, especially in Bloomington, all the way down to 10 degrees, 22 in Lafayette, 20 in Indianapolis. Reason why Bloomington's much cooler, or colder, I guess is a better word for it, than other locations. Thicker snowpack on the ground and clear skies. There's some high thin cloud cover here where temperatures are still in the 20s, even though it's not really showing up here much on the satellite radar picture. Any cloud cover that is out there, though, will burn off very, very quickly. It's a pretty quiet weather pattern for us for the day today, with skies that'll be mostly sunny from start to finish. And even despite the real cold start in southern locations, temperatures once the sun comes up today with light winds will moderate fairly quickly. We should be right around 30 degrees by the time we get to the noon hour. Temperatures will top off in the mid to upper 30s. If you have Friday evening plans, you are just fine. Tomorrow is when that winter storm heads in our direction. It arrives during the afternoon and evening hours. We'll break it down for you in Maine weather coming up in just a couple minutes.
All right, Todd, thanks so much. Let's get a check of traffic this morning. This is I-70 here near State Road 267 to our west. Traffic is moving along up to speed on the west side of Indianapolis and over in Hendricks County. So if I-70 is part of your commute, it should be smooth sailing. Right now, no crashes around central Indiana to slow you down. So there are some new details, Raphael, on the tragic mass shooting on Adams Street last weekend. Those details coming out after the Marion County Prosecutor's Office formally charged Raymond Childs III with 6 counts of murder.
Childs is accused of killing his father, his stepmother, 13-year-old sister, 18-year-old brother, and the brother's girlfriend who was pregnant and due this week. Childs is also being charged with attempted murder for shooting his 15-year-old brother who survived the attack. Court documents confirmed what WRTV Investigates told you on Monday. The shooting occurred after Childs got into an argument with his father because he left home without permission. Marion County Prosecutor Ryan Mears says 2 guns were used in the shooting, a 9mm and an AK-47 pistol. The suspect also did not have a license to carry a gun. Mears says the scope of the crime underscores what's supposed to be happening soon in the lives of people who were lost.
You know, you think about that family and what they were anticipating. I mean, the baby was due in a week. You know, I've got 2 young kids myself, and when you think about the fact that family was preparing for the birth of a child, that was probably going to be the best day in Miss Hawkins' life, and something that she'd been looking forward to, and something that her entire family had been preparing for, and that's taken away from it. Not only is it taken away, but you're also dealing with the loss of everybody else's life. I mean, it's just, it's horrible.
Metro Police Chief Randall Taylor also issued this statement about the charges. In part, it says, our focus should remain on remembering the lives of those taken from us too soon and doing everything we can to rally around the surviving victim as he must come to terms with unimaginable loss.
Well, right now we do have this online complete coverage of the Adams Street case, the charges filed, and the ongoing investigation. You can find that all on the WRTV News app and at WRTV.com. Megan.
Indiana has reached a milestone when it comes to the COVID-19 vaccine. The state health department reported more than 500,000 Hoosiers have received their first doses so far. While that number is still going up, that's still only about 7.5% of Indiana's population. More than 122,000 Hoosiers have been fully vaccinated, Lauren. And a hospital chaplain here in central Indiana is sharing his vaccination story. He hopes it'll encourage more people from his community to get vaccinated.
That's right. Christopher Randolph knows the vaccination rates for the Black community are lower than the white counterparts in our state. The state's vaccine dashboard shows that just under 4% of those vaccinated are African American. Christopher hopes that people can work through their mistrust of the healthcare system and get the vaccine when it's made available to them.
I think it's important that we ascertain that this is a different time and it's a different situation. conspiracies are always going to be there. So that's my thing. I'm a conspiracy buster.
As a chaplain, Christopher tells WRTV that he's seen a lot of death in this pandemic, and he wants everyone to do what they can to protect themselves and others. Something to keep in mind, demographic rates could change as more doses of the vaccine become available and the state opens up appointments to new groups. Right now, healthcare workers, first responders, and those 70 and older can get their vaccine. You can sign up by calling 211 or by going to ourshot.in.gov. Raphael.
They're on the streets in an effort to keep people off of them. Next, how community groups in Indianapolis are working really hard to keep people from losing their homes.
They're putting kids on two wheels and teaching them to steer their lives towards success. Coming up, how one group is using bikes to teach valuable lessons. Stick with us, that story and more coming up in just a few minutes. Welcome back. Even with moratoriums on evictions and a rental assistance program from the government, a number of people are still losing their homes during this pandemic, Raphael.
And so, Megan, that's why one grassroots organization is helping educate the community, all in hopes of preventing evictions in the days to come. Volunteers with the Ross Foundation, they're going door to door, talking to residents about their housing rights. The 6 groups are scattered across Marion County, asking if people need any help in any way on this topic. They're also handing out information about the current CDC eviction moratorium now in place and connecting people with free legal services.
A lot of organizations, they don't show up at your door with help for you. They don't show up at your door with a heart to care for you and to care for your family. People are like, wow, well, like, thank you. Like, I didn't know that information. Like, this is super helpful. Like, I never would have known this. And if it wasn't for you, like, me and my kids would be out on the street and we would be homeless.
So working for you, keep this in mind. If you are at risk of being evicted, you need to fill out the CDC declaration form and make sure that you meet the COVID-19 requirements to avoid eviction. We have much more information about that on our website, WRTV.com. Lauren?
So, Raphael, many of us grew up riding bikes, but one program here in Indianapolis is taking things a step further and using bikes to help young people find their way. This morning, our own Troy Washington joins us live with more on this unique program. Hey, Troy, good morning.
Good morning. These handlebars can steer students into a successful career. They just need this bike to learn what's out there.
Oh, found that? No. Yeah, you're just trying to go fast.
Teach them not just the health and fitness aspects that go with riding a bike, but workforce development, how to use tools, how to work with your hands, how to build things.
All tools that students can carry with them far beyond just building or riding a bike through 913 Sports.
Whether it's getting a kid on a bike in a physical education class as part of our Kids Riding Bikes program, or being able to put a wrench in their hand and teach them how to use it and build and be able to fix a bike with our Kids Building Bikes program, we are really focused on being able to use all of those skills to create new opportunities for the youth here in Indianapolis.
And there's plenty of reasons to take part.
With our Kids Building Bikes program, we designed it to really be incentive-based as part of their educational journey. So over the course of 4 weeks, we'll see them twice per week. It's about 16 hours of curriculum. And within that time, they're learning how to work on a bicycle, ultimately being able to build a bike from a box that they'll graduate and get to take home with them upon successful completion. But it's a lot more than just being able to get a bike in their hands. It's this opportunity to teach them those mechanical skills that can create pathways for future employability or future interest or future passions, whether it's learning how to work on a bike, which becomes learning how to work on a car, becoming a mechanic, or deciding that, you know, how does a bike work? And that fascinates me, and maybe I want to be an engineer. So we're really using this platform, these bicycles, as a way to just be able to open their eyes to something that they may never otherwise have thought of.
The area where we did the interview, that's a new space that they will be using to continue to help children because they can't really get into schools right now due to the pandemic. Reporting live downtown, I'm Troy Washington, WRTV.
Troy, thank you. So you've gotten your stimulus check. Now, what should you do with it? Next, some advice from an expert on how you should put those extra dollars to good use. Todd.
And lots to talk about in the forecast. Not so much today, but as we head into your weekend, Saturday evening, snow develops across most areas. But as we head into Sunday, it changes to rain across the central portion of the state. Stays snow to the north, and then this storm system, even after all the rain, ends in more snow. We'll break it down for you coming up in your WRTV Storm Team forecast.
The Rebound Indiana, our commitment here at WRTV to guide you to resources to help you bounce back from this pandemic. The second round of stimulus checks providing relief for many Hoosier families. Our Kelsey Anderson joins us live this morning with how to make those dollars stretch as long as possible. Kelsey?
Well, whether you already received that second stimulus check or you're still waiting on it, experts say you should avoid buying new gadgets and gizmos and instead spend that money wisely. Financial professional Logan Benham of Benham Advisory Group says if you are out of work, you might want to use that money to pay your essential living expenses. But make wise decisions and make this money last as long as you can. But if you're still employed, you might consider contributing money to a savings account. You can also deposit your refund into your retirement accounts or your rainy day fund.
It's going to make you feel a lot better and possibly give you more peace of mind if you contribute that to a rainy day fund instead of spending that on maybe a new TV or something that you might not need right now.
Benham says now is the time to talk to a financial professional to get a better understanding of what you need to do to make 2021 a better year. Now, if you haven't received that second stimulus check yet, there is a way to make sure you get it, and that is by claiming the recovery rebate credit on your taxes this year. Now, if you're found eligible, that $600 or whatever you will get back will be either added to your refund or subtracted from your balance. Working for you, Kelsey Anderson, WRTV.
All right, thank you, Kelsey. The time now is 6:47 as you get going on this Friday morning. All is quiet, but just cold here across central Indiana. The skies are partly to mainly clear, and the temperatures across the area range from as cold as 10 degrees in Bloomington to 22 in Lafayette, as well as Muncie, 17 in Richmond. Indy right now sitting at 20 degrees, a little colder to the south this morning because of the snowpack that's on the ground and the clearer skies. There's a little bit of a high thin cloud cover here in northern locations. Today's a pretty quiet day for us as we round out the work week. We'll be in the teens here this morning, and then we'll climb through the 20s. By the noon hour, we're at 28 degrees, and then eventually into the low to mid 30s across the area with skies that are going to be mostly sunny. So you get outside and enjoy the weather today. You'll have to bundle up a little bit, but the sunshine, that always helps everything across the area. Back off to our west, there's not a whole lot right now, but there's a strong storm system that's just now in California that's quickly going to come across the country, and it's going to bring us a whole mixed bag of precipitation by the time we get to tomorrow evening. Now, your Saturday starts off dry with just mostly cloudy skies and temperatures that will be above freezing, but during the evening hours, that's when the precipitation is going to arrive here in central Indiana. And it's going to honestly be a very, very tough forecast across the middle portion of the state. I'm going to show you two computer models here. This first one is for all the snow lovers out there. This one's coming in with a pretty good band of heavy snow as we get into the 8 o'clock hour, and this could quickly put down initially 1 to 2 inches of snow across the area. And keep an eye on this pink area. That is the mixed precipitation, and on this model that stays to the south, so this would include more snow in and around the metro area, and it will continue to snow into the early morning hours on Sunday before some warmer air starts to make its way in to the area. Let me go over to a second computer model now, and this one is much warmer, and I think it's probably a little more of the better solution. Sorry for all the people in the central portion of the state that want a big snow. I think this one's a little more reliable. It still starts off with some snow across the area at the onset of this precipitation, but notice how the rain snow line is a lot further north with this as we work our way into the late evening hours on Saturday. That would bring the changeover to rain a lot quicker. Now, if you're in southern locations, you're briefly dealing with some snow, and then it's mainly a rain event for you. And so our biggest concern will be what's going to happen from Crawfordsville to Indianapolis over towards the Richmond area with this rain snow line during the evening hours tomorrow. And then eventually, by time we get to Sunday morning, it goes over to all rain. So it might be a moot point because whatever snow does fall Saturday evening is eventually just going to get washed away as we head into Sunday morning, at least in the central portion of the state. But there will be, I think, some pretty impressive snowfall totals from Logansport over towards the Peru area and then eventually into Fort Wayne, where it's just going to be a lot colder than it is going to be across, again, the central portion of Indiana. Here's how I'm breaking it down for you. 3 to 6 inches to the north, with that plus sign being Peru, again, over to Fort Wayne, where they could see 6, 7, maybe 8 inches of snow. I'm putting 1 to 3 down here through the central portion of the state. The disclaimer with that, though, is, again, a lot of that's going to melt away once we switch over to rainfall. And then by the time we get to Bloomington, that inch or less will melt away almost instantly as you switch over to rain. So it's a very sloppy system for us across the area. Sunday's mainly rain, and then it goes back over to snow Sunday night into Monday. So Monday morning's commute could be a little slick in spots as that colder air comes back in on the backside of this storm system. Quiet for Tuesday and Wednesday, and then, Lauren, yet another active storm system, and Raphael and Megan, as we get into Thursday with a temperature of 40 degrees.
All right, Todd, thank you so much. So Good News Friday is also coming up here as we work to boost childhood literacy. We're also trying to practice what we preach at WRTV. We'll show you how that is coming up after the break. Stick around.
Welcome back to Good Morning Indiana. It is time for, oh yeah, Good News Friday. And we start with one of the more creative ways to avoid losing a batch of much needed COVID-19 vaccine.
That's right, Raphael. In Josephine County, Oregon, the head of that health department called it one of the coolest operations he had been a part of, and he meant that literally. They were on their way back from a rural COVID vaccine clinic when they got stuck in the road during a snowstorm thanks to a semi-truck that jackknifed. The healthcare workers knew they had vaccines that would expire in a matter of hours, so they started going car to car on that road, asking drivers if they would like to get a COVID vaccine. One man was so excited, he took off his shirt and got to the shot immediately. That's excitement for you.
That's how you do it.
Get it done.
Okay, well, bringing you back here closer to home, some students in Hancock County are lending more than just a helping hand to their community. The junior leaders of Hancock County 4-H created this free toiletries box at Riley Park out in Greenfield. So they keep it stocked with things like soap, shampoo, toothpaste, toilet paper, anything anyone can need, and they can take it home for free. The 4-H group says it always welcomes donations of items as they typically go quickly after they're placed inside. You can donate directly to the box or the Hancock County Extension Office. Way to go.
Help them out. So WRTV is dedicated to help with childhood literacy in our communities. You may remember that last week you helped donate thousands of books with your help to students in Martinsville, Lauren.
That's right. I see you're reading right there, Raphael. And this evening, we're continuing that effort by reading some books to kids. Now, of course, due to the pandemic, we can't do that in person, so we're going to do it on Facebook.
Say something with your brush. Look, she's painting orange. You paint too. No, you don't.
So this is part of me reading the book Say Something to my son Archie. Yeah, he's eating a whole apple there. He gets very hungry when he's eating and reading, and he wasn't quite cooperating all the way, but we got through the book. It's a good read, so be sure tonight after dinner to grab your kids, go to the WRTV Facebook page, and maybe you'll see Raphael, maybe you'll see me or Amanda Starantino. We're all doing these read-alongs throughout the next few months, so a lot of fun there.
A lot of fun. Love the book because a lot of pictures and big words.
Yes.
And big print for those of us that can't see. Todd Clausen, what do you see coming up this Friday?
Today we have lots of sunshine in the forecast and temperatures that'll eventually be topping off in the mid-30s. A pretty seasonable day. What I see in the future for some of you is reading the book Frosty the Snowman here as we get into tomorrow. It's really a sloppy system, to be honest with you. We start off with some snow. There'll be accumulation Saturday and then eventually going over to rain on Sunday. That'll kind of wash some of the snow away. The exception, northern locations, you stick with the snow throughout most of the duration of the storm, where you can see 3 to 6 inches. It's probably about 1 to 3 inches of snow in the metro area, and then more snow in the forecast Monday morning on the backside of this system.
And thank you so much, Todd. We're back in 25 minutes and throughout Good Morning America with the latest news, weather, and traffic updates, Lauren.
Don't forget, all your news can be found throughout the day on the WRTV mobile app. Thanks for joining us this week for Good Morning Indiana. We hope you have a great weekend, and we'll see you back here on Monday morning.